the news that Deontay Wilder's next opponent or proposed next opponent, Luis Ortiz, failed his recent drug test, and obviously the fight may not go ahead. I believe it is time for me to make a video about Deontay Wilder and my opinion on him as a fighter, and why I think he may be like one of the most underappreciated heavyweight champions in recent years. So Deontay Wilder obviously has a record of 37 wins and 36 knockouts. So he's compiled this record despite the fact that he did have late start in the sport of boxing. He only started boxing at the age of 20. So he also has he obviously like Anthony Joshua, another heavyweight rival of his, he did actually go to the Olympic Games and did actually manage to win a bronze medal in the Olympics Games. He did only have like 20-30 amateur fights around that number of amateur fights, and the success that he's had, obviously him winning the WBC heavyweight title, he won it off Berman Stavern, who can actually be seen on the graphic on the top, on the bottom right hand picture. Obviously he's the only opponent that Deontay Wilder has fought that has gone the full distance with him. Every other opponent apart from that one opponent has been knocked out basically. So obviously Deontay Wilder's has not had the time and obviously the experience to really hone his technical ability. So at times he is criticized, and some may say fairly so, for his lack of technique. But one thing that you cannot deny about Deontay Wilder is his raw power. The fact that he's knocked out most of his opponents, and his main knockout shot is his right hand. He's also a big fighter. I think he's around 6'9", 6'8". Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's obviously a very tall heavyweight, and you can actually see he has quite a lot of athleticism. He's a big heavyweight, but he also for his size he does move fairly quickly. Now obviously if Deontay Wilder was around during the 90s and during the early 2000s, when heavyweight boxing was in a more healthy place in American culture and mainstream media, I believe he would have been a household name within America. But obviously at this moment in time, with heavyweight boxing being transferred to the UK with Anthony Joshua and other fighters like Dillian White, he's not as a big a name as he could have been if he was born in a different era. So my opinion on him is that he's made the most of the limited amount of amateur experience that he's had, and obviously a lot of people do criticize him for his level of opposition thus far in his career. But one thing that needs to be taken into account is the fact that his management team, they did the right thing by giving him a fairly a bit of time to develop as a fighter, because the fact is, even at this point in his career, you can see that there's quite a few technical gaps in his game, and that's with him being given the opportunity to fight the low level of opposition that he's had. So if he was rushed early in his career, it's not inconceivable to have seen him get a loss or two. So I think his management team has done a good job of actually protecting his career with the limited amount of amateur experience that he's had. Do I think some of the criticism that he gets is fair? Absolutely. I think some of the criticism he gets is fair, but there's not one fighter in history that has actually has existed in history that has not been given criticism. I mean, even Ali at one point was criticized. Every fighter at one point has been criticized. So the criticism comes with the level of success you have. The more successful you are, the more likely you are to be criticized in some way. With Floyd Mayweather, for example, he's had a perfect career in the sense that he's beaten top elite competition. He's generated more money in the sport than any other fighter in the sport, and he's taken the least amount of damage, you can say, than any other fighter. But even then, despite the level of opposition he's beaten. And you could criticize him and say he's not beating the top competition when they were at their absolute best, but you still can't criticize his consistency and what he's accomplished in the sport. But still, despite all that, he has a lot of critics. So I think it's inconceivable that any fighter in the sport is going to have criticism. One thing that I don't think is fair is the fact that for some reason Deontay Wilder keeps getting criticized for his opponents pulling out for failing drug tests. I don't see how you can criticize Deontay Wilder for his opponents failing drug tests. So it just seems like he's in an unlucky position for the relative success that he's had. He's in an era in American boxing where they don't appreciate heavyweight champions. So in a previous era, like during the 90s or during the 80s, he may not have had the success that he's had, but he would have still been he still probably would have had a more appreciation because of his knockout power. And obviously his size than he does in this current era where American mainstream media just doesn't cover heavyweight boxing the way it used to. He could literally walk down the street of America, apart from his hometown, and he would not be mobbed. Like, there may be a few people that want a few pictures, but is nowhere near the level of adulation that Mike Tyson enjoyed in his career, like when he was at his absolute peak. You can argue that Deontay Wilder, although he's not fought elite opposition, is at his peak because he's 37-0. He's the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. When Tyson was beat Trevor Burbick and won the same exact title, the WBC heavyweight championship, he literally became an overnight celebrity. But the same thing can't be said about Deontay Wilder. And another thing is he seems to be incredibly unlucky with every time he tries to step up in competition and prove his critics wrong by fighting an elite competition, he seems to be shut down with for some reason. All of his opponents seem to pull out. All of his opponents seem to fail drug tests. The fact that a lot of his opponents decide to take drugs, steroids, before they get in the ring with him is probably a testament to the level of fear that they have. Like, you wouldn't risk a multi-million-dollar paycheck and the opportunity to fight for a world title and be put on a big stage and fight a top fighter and have the opportunity to make that much money and risk that all and throw it all away just to get caught by drugs, if you didn't believe that the level of the person that you're going to fight is of some ability. So despite all the criticism that he gets, his opponents, I believe, don't believe that he's a pushover. Otherwise they would not have gone to the degrees and the levels that they go into to like take illegal drugs to give them an unfair advantage in a fight against him. So it's not inconceivable that despite the fact that he has a relatively low profile, his opponents do in some ways fear him. Like, Luis Ortiz was seen to be before this debacle as one of the most feared heavyweights on the planet. Like, it seemed like a lot of fighters were not clamoring to get into the ring with him, but the fact that he's taken illegal drugs, and obviously he does have a pattern of it, he's done it in the past, the fact that he's taken drugs before he got into the ring with Deontay Wilder says a lot about Deontay Wilder. The fact that a lot of fighters do think they need an unfair advantage to get into the ring with him. Now, where does Deontay Wilder go from here? I think he should take Dillian Whyte's offer. Dillian Whyte has offered him $4 million to come to the UK and fight him. Now, this fight, obviously, I would have preferred to watch the Luis Ortiz Deontay Wilder fight. I think that would have been a better fight. But now this offer is on the table, I think he should take it. I don't think there's a better alternative at this point. He could fight Berman Stavern again, and he is a mandatory, but to be honest, Berman Stavern should not be in that position, and we already saw what happened in the first fight. I feel like the second fight would just be more conclusive, and he may knock him out. So I think the best fight for him to take is against Dillian Whyte. He could that fight is the best fight to take because I believe obviously Anthony Joshua got in the ring with Dillian Whyte, and we saw his performance against Dillian Whyte. If Wilder was to fight Dillian Whyte, we could make a comparison because they both have a common opponent, and after that fight they could both fight each other after Anthony Joshua gets past Kubrat Pulev if he gets past Kubrat Pulev. Obviously, we don't know what can happen in the sport of boxing, but I think that will be a good opponent. Obviously, that will also give an opportunity. It will be good for both of them because obviously Dillian Whyte did go over to the US and fight on a Bob Arum card, and obviously he's trying to endear himself to the American public, trying to build a bigger profile over there. So if he does fight Deontay Wilder, despite the fact that Deontay Wilder is underappreciated, I believe that would give an opportunity for American fans to actually see more of Dillian Whyte. And of course, if it works the other way as well, if Deontay Wilder was to fight Dillian Whyte, it would give an opportunity for the UK fans to be made more aware of Deontay Wilder's skill and talent. And obviously that would be a great build up for that would be a great penultimate fight before he fights Anthony Joshua, if they fight, for unification. So that's my thoughts on Deontay Wilder. I feel like he's a good fighter. He's not had the opportunity to become a quote unquote great fighter in this era because he's not fought top elite competition, but he's a good fighter that could go on to become a great fighter. But I feel like in a lot of ways he's underappreciated, and I think if the American public was to get behind him even more, it would be great for the sport of boxing because it would just make the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight even bigger if they do eventually fight, and that'll be a great mainstay for the sport. It'll be a great way to promote the sport. These American versus UK matchups, for example, we had it in the past with Frank Bruno versus Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. You obviously had Henry Cooper versus Muhammad Ali. They always generate a lot of publicity, and if Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua were to fight, just to put it into perspective, okay, when you combine both of their records together, obviously Anthony Joshua's knocked out every single opponent that he's been in the ring with, including Vladimir Klitschko. And obviously Deontay Wilder has knocked out all of the opponents he's been in the ring with, except for one opponent, which is a Berman Stavern, that he conclusively beat. If you were to put all of their records together, there's only one opponent that's escaped a knockout. So if they do get into the ring and fight, it's more than conclusive that someone's going to get knocked out in the fight, and it'll be a great publicity for the sport. So that's my thoughts on Deontay Wilder. I think he's unappreciated, and I feel like the criticism that he does get is in some sense unfair because he can't control his opponents not being clean before a fight. And so that's that. So so that's my opinion on Deontay Wilder. Tell me your thoughts below. Tell me what you think about Deontay Wilder. Do you think he's unappreciated? Do you think he's in some sense underrated? Do you think he's made the most of the talent that he has? I think he has. For the limited amount of technical ability that he has, he does have some technical ability, but there are a lot of holes to his game. I think he made a lot of success for the talent that he has. He reminds me of Edwin Valero in some sense. Obviously, Edwin Valero, in some sense, was technically a very inefficient fighter. He would fight with his hands a bit too low, in my opinion. But despite all that, he's knocked out all of his opponents, and he's won all of his fights before the tragedy in his life where he killed himself and killed his wife. In some sense, Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, is that type of fighter. His style at times can look ugly, but he's very effective with the style that he does have. So that's my opinion on Deontay Wilder. Tell me what you think below. Subscribe to to this channel, and I've got more content coming your way. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Peace out.